We're live?
About to record. We're ready.
All right. With that, we'll open our work session for February 17th for interviews for council vacancies. So we have our questions. You all have your questions in front of you? You have a question? What we'll do is we'll let you go first, and then we'll start here. And then we'll just work around, and then we'll take your answers, and we'll go back and forth. So, work for you guys?
Can we, Mayor,
Yeah.
let's state their names for the record
Oh.
to start.
My name is Brooke Bouchard.
Just. Perfect. Hey, you wanna go first, Brian?
Excuse me,
Oh,
can we have Garrett maybe say something, since he's audio only, so we know he's.
Garrett, can you say hello
For the record.
for the record? That's great, thank you.
just holler if you can't hear anything, Garrett. We need repeat it. Alright. So you go third, or third question.
All right, well, welcome both of you, Justin.
Thank you.
So the first question. What motivates you to serve on Tonawanda City Council and what is your vision? Vision for the city over the next 5 years?
My motivation for wanting to serve on the city council is simple. I live smack dab in the middle of Ward 2 and work there. As a young person, I want to spend the rest of my life in Tillamook and I want to raise a family here hopefully, so I'm invested in the future. My family business also has invested heavily in downtown Tillamook, so obviously I do want to see downtown Tillamook prosper. I want to see more people come here from neighboring cities, Oceanside, Utards. Some things that I've seen recently that have motivated me in particular is talking to potential tenants and business owners and just people who live in Tillamook and hearing their concern of feeling unsafe. Just the other day, I was talking to a business owner who said she felt unsafe to bring her kids to work, which is really painful for me to hear. And I do want to see the existing small businesses who are in downtown Tillamook thrive, and I want to attract new businesses, and I want to do that by being a part of the policy change to make that happen and make Tillamook a place where I want to stay and continue doing business here. Yeah.
Thank you.
First. What motivates me to serve, I've spent pretty much my whole adult life here in Tillamook trying to just serve the community. Since for us, the chamber, I've been at the chamber 15 years. I think what motivates me to serve on the city council is just creating positive change from the leadership standpoint that you guys all have. I think my mission for the city is fairly simple. I want the residents and businesses to be treated and taxed fairly. I want the safety of the city to be a top priority, along with codes. And I think, overall, I want us to be able to counter structure. So, your points.
Alright. Thank you. Alright. The city council work requires collaboration and compromise. Can you give an example of how you have successfully worked as part of a team and how you would approach working with colleagues who have different perspectives?
So in my professional sphere in my day-to-day life, I manage all of our company's commercial investment properties. And included in that is day-to-day property management of all those properties. And that means that I have to work with 40-some tenants, and a lot of times those tenants have differing views, oftentimes conflicting views, different needs. And as a property manager, it's my job to be as understanding and accommodating as possible while still being fair and consistent. And that means enforcing building guidelines as they are, but sometimes that means revisiting them. Just the last week, we had to revisit our building guidelines for one of our locations in Tillamook and change them based on what our tenants were telling us. And I feel like that's very similar to what you guys do here. You know, you do have to enforce the code, but you are hearing constituents, hearing their needs and changing as needed. So I feel like I have experience with that, hopefully, in your opinion.
Just a question, what was the question again?
City council work requires collaboration and compromise. Can you give an example of how you have successfully worked as part of a team? And how you would approach working with colleagues who have a different perspective?
Yeah, I mean, professional career is basically built on compromise and collaboration. I don't own a lot of properties, but we invest and are dedicated to supporting those properties. And so I think from a collaboration standpoint, my vision of how I do that is basically to understand the perspectives of the table, just figure out, what are the different perspectives that are out there. My solution might not always be the best solution. So if we understand that, how do we come to a compromise once all of our cards are out on the table? And, really the goal is to mitigate the unintended consequences of the decisions we make and make the best decision for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. How would you describe your leadership and conflict resolution styles? And how do you see them contributing to a productive and effective council?
I think my leadership style is simple. I think it's the most important thing is to seek to understand before you are understood. Especially as someone new coming onto the council, my goal would be to learn and to hear your perspectives. And I think the most important thing that you can do as a leader is to be humble and to fall on your sword when you make a mistake, which will surely happen. So yeah.
Thank you. I think the leadership style, I like to dig into research. I like to dig around to find opportunities. It goes back to taking all the perspectives into play and then looking for the information, making sure that the decisions and the information I'm putting into the conversation is rooted in data and logic. And then, everybody processes things a little bit different. Sometimes it's logical, sometimes it's emotional. So it's how do you merge those two things together? And so it's just being respectful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Serving on the city council often requires learning new skills and staying informed. How do you motivate yourself to grow personally and professionally, and what areas would you like to develop while serving as a council member?
I'm gonna be honest, when I received these questions, that question was definitely the one I had to think about the most. And I think the reason was because I honestly don't really resonate with how the question was framed. I feel like I don't ask myself, how do I motivate myself to grow as a person very often? I think a more accurate question that I ask myself every morning is, how am I going to challenge myself and how am I going to learn from that? And I can make the commitment to you guys on the city council and you as mayor that I will bring that same attitude with me as a city councilor. And that I will ask questions and I will be motivated to grow and because I want to help the city.
Just from experience, I think I'm pretty confident in my abilities as a public servant. However, there are things to always learn from other people. Kind of like Hope said, it is an odd question the way it's phrased, but I think that at the end of the day, it's learning from each other, learning from each other's perspectives. I think that there is always things to learn from things like the League of Oregon Cities Conference, or being able to reach out to other jurisdictions to figure out, what are they doing, how are they accomplishing what they're accomplishing. So I think if I was to learn something, it would be what are we doing differently, and how do we meld that into our community do the best we can.
Okay, city council decisions affect the entire community and staff. How would you approach making difficult decisions when there are competing interests, limited resources, or limited time?
I would bring this question back to my professional sphere. I think that's something I do every day. Part of my role at the company is that I'm in charge of budget allocation, budgeting for future capital expenses, future maintenance. And sometimes you have unexpected expenses that come up, unfortunately, and sometimes that means moving your budget around or not paying one thing to be able to pay this. And I think it just comes down to prioritizing funds on figure out what is gonna have the most impact for your dollar.
Yeah, I think that limited resources is often a problem that we have. I would say though, my approach on a lot of these things, whether it's from city, whether it's from just any improvements in town, is that, I propose that we look for opportunities rather than be limited by our limitations. I think it's easy to say we don't have money for that. I think it's easy to say we don't have time for that. Where there's a lot of scenarios where there might be alternatives. I'm used to finding those, I'm used to recommending those. And so, you know, I think that there is a reality here, but I also think that sometimes it's more of a limitation. It's said to be more of a limitation than it really needs to be.
Alright, do you have any questions for the city council?
If I was the best city councilor possible, what would that look like for you guys, both as, you know, as a colleague and just as a member of the community?
Honesty to yourself and to the people that you represent, that's a good one.
I think I would say. Learn as much as you can about all the facets of the city's operation. That helps you understand, take part in discussions when they come up. Like, I don't know everything about, public works, but I know enough that I can at least understand what they're saying. So just trying to apply yourself to learn those things, practical way of helping.
Thank you.
I say stay true to yourself. That's important. While you are representative, if this is representative government, there is a time to, especially when it comes down to ethical issues, so. Stay true.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My biggest thing would be to hear you ask questions, because when I first got on, if you don't know what is being talked about, or you don't understand it, or if it's just to ask the question, make sure you clarify what it is, and also speak your mind. Have your idea, even if it might not feel like it's the most popular, just to be able to say it, so, and bring it up, and I've had votes that. Motions that went stale and nothing happened, and that's how you do it, so just to see you actually ask the questions, get involved and learn it. Instead of just going with the flow, so that's what I was saying.
I think I can definitely do that. Thank you. I appreciate all your.
Yeah.
Garrett, have anything?
Sick now.
I have no further questions.
No. Alright, did Garrett have anything?
I was just saying, team, I always tell people that city council is a team sport, you have to kind of work together to get anything done, so. If you have ideas, you gotta be able to, explain why you wanna do them, and just good communication, and let you know, ask lots of questions.
Alright. You have anything, John? Nope. With that, let's see.
So there's, the way we've set this up is there's no time for discussion.
Correct.
The council right now, we
That's
just did
what
the
we
interview.
Yep.
So I'd recommend we close the work session and then come back at 7 o'clock.
So just checking. All right, so with that, we'll close work session at, 6:17. Yeah. Right time.